Verse 20 says, "And so I have made it my aim to preach the gospel, not where Christ was named, lest I should build on another man's foundation." So Paul was very good about not going and treading on other people's areas where they had established the gospel. You know, he wasn't greedy to take credit for something somebody else had done or to steal somebody else's ministry. And that's a good lesson for churches all around the world, is not to go in and steal other people's ministries, but to work together as ministries for one common goal. The goal is the glory of Jesus Christ and the establishment and building up of the church. Not getting more money, not getting bigger numbers, and not having better steaks for dinner because your congregation is better and giving you more money. But the preaching of the gospel, the teaching of the gospel, and the building up of the church, that should be the goal. And he quotes here, "But as it is written, to whom he was not announced, they shall see, and those who have not heard shall understand." And that is going on today all around the world. Missionaries are being sent out all around the world preaching the gospel of Christ to people that have never heard. And as I've gone around even America, and I've met people that haven't yet accepted Jesus Christ, and I've been able to talk to them about the Lord and to preach where it had not been preached before. And that's what we're to do, is to get the word out everywhere, to every creature under heaven and earth, so that the gospel is proclaimed and so that souls can be saved for the person of Jesus Christ. Verse 22, "For this reason I also have been much hindered from coming to you." All right, he's writing to the Romans, and he says, I haven't been able to come to you because I've been out preaching. I've been doing these things for the gospel in all of these different areas. And because of that, he's been hindered in being able to get to Rome. He says, "But now, no longer having a place in these parts," meaning all the areas that he's preached, he doesn't have any place left where he needs to preach, "and having a great desire these many years to come to you, whenever I journey to Spain, I shall come to you." So he's saying that at some point he hopes to go to Rome. Now we do know that he did get to Rome. He got to Rome as a prisoner, but he still got there. God worked his way for Paul to go to Rome, and he got a free ticket at the expense of the government to go and actually testify to the people in Caesar's court. So I mean, even in what we perceive of as difficult or trying circumstances, the Lord is working. He is being glorified through our lives. And as it says in Acts, in him we live and move and have our being. So everything we're doing is in his presence. And he is being glorified. You know, if we don't preach the gospel, believe it or not, he's being glorified through that. Because in the end, he will be proved right by our silence. And if we do preach the gospel, he will be glorified through that, because in our open mouths and the turning of hearts to him, he will be glorified through those people. So no matter what happens, but we should be pursuing preaching the gospel to everybody, telling people about it, living in the power of the Holy Spirit. Verse 23, "But now no longer having a place in these parts and having a great desire these many years to come to you," I've already read that, "whenever I journey to Spain, I shall come to you, for I hope to see you on my journey and to be helped on my way there by you, if first I may enjoy your company for a while." So he's saying he wants to go to Spain, and he's hoping that they will send him along after a short visit with them, that they will send him along to Spain. And so he's trying to fit all of this in. Anyway, we have no record if Paul ever did make it to Spain or not, but he certainly did make it to Rome. He was imprisoned there, and because of his imprisonment there, he was able to write many of the epistles that he wrote from prison, and they're known as the prison epistles. So anyway, there you go. Verse 25 says, "But now I am going to Jerusalem to minister to the saints." This is something Paul did. He'd go around and he'd say, let's make a collection for the people in Jerusalem, and then when I come back, I'll pick up the money and I'll go down there. And so this is what he was doing there. He's going down to minister to the saints in Jerusalem by bringing these love offerings from the churches he had established. "For it pleased those from Macedonia and Achaia to make a certain contribution for the poor among the saints who are in Jerusalem." He told them about the dire times in Jerusalem, the testing times, and that these people needed help. The church was established there, and that these people could use assistance, and the people were good enough to make contributions. And so Paul was going to pick those up, and he was going to take them down to Jerusalem. All right. "It pleased them indeed, and they are their debtors. For if the Gentiles have been partakers of their spiritual things," meaning the Jew spiritual things, "their duty is also to minister to them in material things." And you know, I think that's a duty that we still owe today. And a lot of people will disagree with me. They'll say, the Jewish people rejected Jesus and they're out. No. They are loved on account of the patriarchs. As Paul said earlier, they're enemies because of the gospel, but they're loved on account of the patriarchs. And God has an eternal covenant established with them. The oracles of God were carried through the Jewish people. They're in the land. They've, they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, which confirm the Bible. They are, a real blessing to the Christian people, and the Christian people are a blessing to them. And I do believe that we, as this nation and as the Christian people around the world, are responsible to tending to the needs of the Jewish people and leading them back to the Messiah, who they rejected 2,000 years ago and who they will call on as a nation at some future point. Therefore, when I have, verse 28, therefore, when I have performed this and have sealed them this fruit, I shall go by way of you to Spain. So he had every intention to go down to Jerusalem, to give them the offering that was made by the Macedonians and those from Achaia, and then from there he was planning on going to Spain via Rome. Okay, but I know that when I come to you, I shall come in the fullness of the blessing of the gospel of Christ. All right, he was absolutely sure that when he arrived there, that it would be because of the gospel of Christ, and a blessing, he called it, that he would be carrying that gospel to them. And here he's writing them in advance, and that the message had already gotten there. He's not building on somebody else's foundation or stealing anybody's ministry. He was just simply stopping there to edify the people, to build them up, and then to go on to Spain. But he knew that it would be a blessing when he arrived there.